The clinging fire. Through detachment and acceptance, we acquire a modest and just view of things. This hexagram concerns disengaging in order to attain clarity, seeing things moderately, and clinging to the power of truth to emerge even if we do not yet perceive what the truth is. The image of fire clinging to something in order to burn symbolizes the attitude we need if we are to attain and keep clarity of mind. Clarity, like fire, can endure only if it clings to something that is not easily exhausted. The inexhaustible is the universal truth we discover in our study of the Ching. When the dark power of doubt threatens, we should cling to what we have learned, trusting it to prove reliable. We can wholeheartedly rely on the power of truth to prevail. We turn everything over to the sage and attend only to keeping doubt dispersed and our attitude independent and balanced. It is important to persevere through moments of potential wavering when we might begin to doubt the sage's counsel and what we have learned from our Ching studies. When events seem foreboding and people seem evil, we should remember the good that was and still has potential in them. The more evil they seem to be, the more resolutely we must cling to that potential. If we cling to the invisible sparks of light that are eclipsed by their inferior natures, the power of clinging will enable the dark force to overcome. We also need to keep our mind open by clinging to the potential of the situation. Regardless of how impossible it seems, a situation might improve. Such an improvement can happen if we remain firm and independent in attitude and open to its being possible. It helps if we cling to the fact that the creative follows an invisible zigzag course which we need to be willing to endure ambiguous and disruptive times while the creative resolves the problem its own way. Care of the cow brings good fortune. The docility and acceptance of the cow epitomizes the attitude that leads to clarity. To become docile, we let go of all resistance to and rejection of what is happening. We accept every twist and turn of events as something useful and essential to the creative process. We cling we cling docilely to what is good in ourselves and others. If this is the smallest embers, through docility, we are able to keep disengaged from the inferior power. When others are sharp, we can be dull, able to maintain a moderate and just view of our own and of their mistakes. Docility thus allows clarity and independence to return. The power of good lies in the consistency of our determination to serve the higher power. We take an active interest in rescuing others by giving them space to find their way. We give them space through clinging to their true natures, regardless of how much or how long this nature has been eclipsed. Clinging to these inner realities causes a breakthrough in the abjurant situation that brings about a revolution in people's attitudes. In maintaining docility, it is important not to judge things solely by their external appearances, for in doing so we lose our sense of the inner truth of the matter. It helps if we cling to the view that things are as they need to be, for purposes we are not able to see. If we are able to focus only on externals, either vanity, desire, or fear are the culprits. We want to know how the external circumstance makes us look, or we fear that others will misinterpret our failure to act, our not taking a stand. We should vigorously resist the considerations and demands of vanity and the disruptions to our equilibrium caused by desire. Often, those envious of our inner independence try to Often those envious of our inner independence try to engage us in the king of the heap game. They wish to know if our strength is real, if they can jar us off balance. They will remain content not to grow stuck in their defensive rigidity. If they succeed in making us feel threatened, their ego will achieve victory. Perhaps it is more important that the challenges people present to us uncover doubts we still have about ourselves or our path. Through uncovering these doubts, we are able to deal with them Docility and detachment are the only correct responses to such challenges. Docility becomes easy once we discard the vanity of being concerned with how others regard us. Docility enables us to understand and be patient with ourselves and others. Changing line number 1. The beginning holds the seed of all that is to follow. This line indicates that through meditating on first awakening, we are able to intercept, examine, and discard inferior thoughts. The instant they enter our consciousness. If they are not intercepted at this point, when they are only faint moods, and when their energies are at their lowest ebb, they quickly increase in strength and are able to dominate our thoughts for the rest of the day. Then we are unable to prevent the frustrations that cause our personalities to disintegrate. Forgive me, I'm going to read that one more time. Changing line number 1. The beginning holds the seed of all that is to follow. This line indicates that through meditating on first awakening, we are able to intercept, examine, and discard inferior thoughts the instant they enter consciousness. If they are not intercepted at this point, when they are only faint moods, and when their energies are at their lowest ebb, they quickly increase in strength and are able to dominate our thoughts for the rest of the day. Then we are unable to prevent the frustrations that cause personalities to disintegrate. Changing line number 2. Yellow light, supreme good fortune. Oh, I'm going to have to pause this here. Changing line number 2. Yellow light, supreme good fortune. Yellow light refers to looking at things moderately. Receiving this line counsels us to follow the mean. Receiving this line counsels us to follow the mean. Reading the hexagram piece, for instance, should not cause undue enthusiasm, nor should darkening of the light make us feel depressed. Neither good nor bad times should cause us to lose our emotional equilibrium. If we regard such times as occasions for self-development. No shock will set us off balance. When we understand correctly the meanings of the hexagrams, they bring a sense of enlightenment and release from the tensions of misunderstanding the truths of life. Truth is never a glaring, harsh reality. It is a moderate understanding. Also, we should not hold to bad experiences as reason for being hard and fast in our rules. If someone has failed to pay us the money he owes, we should not then be hard on others whom we know to be conscientious. We need to listen to our inner feelings and to our inner sense of truth. Changing line number 3. In the light of the setting sun, men either beat the pot and sing or loudly bewail the approach of old age, misfortune. If we fear and worry about the time required to obtain recognizable progress, we put ourselves in the wrong place. If we can accept the fact that things will be fulfilled when we have done the work on ourselves that brings us to harmony with the cosmos, then we secure our fate by making success possible. So long as the ego stands by expectantly measuring and weighing progress, the dark force of doubt operates, making it possible for the power of good to manifest itself. Adversity will last only for a time. If because of it, we will do the work of freeing ourselves of the ego with all its wanting, wandering, and worrying, changing line number 4. It flames up, dies down, is thrown away. Worry is the fire that consumes. We know that perseverance over a period of time is necessary to accomplish our goals. Nevertheless, our inferiors complain that the length of time this requires Their complaints cause us to doubt ourselves, the great man potential in others, and the creative. We need to silence our complaining inferiors and stop their obsessive preoccupation with our difficulties. We can do this by resolutely to listen further. We can do this by refusing resolutely to listen further, and by refusing to allow them to look at the difficulties. We can also gain their cooperation by explaining to them that their activity only makes things worse. By such means, we may overcome their resistance and thereby restore clarity and steadfastness. As long as they doubt, there can be no success. Changing line number 5. Tears in floods, sighing and lamenting. Good fortune. The commentary to this line mentions that a real change of heart has taken place, either in ourselves or in another. We attain a clear view when, in going through difficulties, we acknowledge that adversity is necessary for growth, and when we humbly accept what is happening, this change of heart displaces the vain considerations that accompany change, such as dread of growing old, of becoming less attractive, being alone, or of having to die. We undermine the power of the ego when we realize that despite its bravado, it has had nothing to do with our success and is an obstruction to progress. The change of heart also refers to having given up efforts to force conclusions to our situations through contrived means. Even though we have thought such means justifiable, sincerity has caused us to return to the correct way. Changing line number 6. It is best to kill the leaders. The most evil ringleader of disorder in the The most evil ringleaders of disorder in the personality are vanity and pride. The ego, whether it is self-deprecating, self-congratulating, or self-defending, vanity appears when our decisions and actions concern the way others see us. Our pride becomes wounded when we extend ourselves more than halfway in meeting others. Then we begin to construct defenses against them because we have foolishly thrown ourselves away. When we fail in such an effort, we engage vanity and pride. Both vanity and pride emanate from the spoiled child within, which is ever pushing to obtain fellowship with others, whether or not the conditions for it are correct. This spoiled child disdains waiting and puts out an either demand for measurable progress. It also distrusts help from the cosmos, so it attempts to do everything by itself. A person with humility realizes that acquiring the help of the invisible sage is essential in every undertaking. Therefore, he is patient and persevering. The childish self cannot be eradicated totally. but its worst aspects must be subdued. There is no way to fight vanity directly, because it is not visible as one entity. It is visible, however, in its many manifestations, and these may be combated individually. Among these manifestations are desire and impatience, which have their origins in fear and doubt. Vanity is also present when we see ourselves as rejected, alone, abandoned. Vanity causes us to want inside knowledge, to have a handle on things, and to seek assurances that things will work to our satisfaction. Vanity causes us enviously to compare our fate to others. It makes us think that everything in life is dependent on human decisions. It causes us to forget that the cosmos is at work putting things to right, and that we are not required to accomplish everything by ourselves. Pride, too, is elusive, manifesting as impatience, anger, giving up, and vindictiveness. The image is given by the I Ching that if the mountain is to stand for a long time, it should be broadly based, not narrow and steep. Simple self-acceptance is something luminous to which to cling. Otherwise, we tend to test and probe why we exist, or why we were affected by things that arouse our discontent. We should be on guard against the slightest entrance of these or any emotions that threaten our inner independence. In resolutely apprehending them at the beginning, we are able to resist their pressures and block their negative energies. Finally, having successfully resisted evil, we should avoid becoming the matriad, good person, still another vanity. I'm going to read that final sentence one more time. Finally, having successfully resisted evil, we should avoid becoming the martriad, good person, still another vanity. This completes hexagram number 30.